Hello, and welcome back to the Crash CSS Anthropology series. I'm your instructor, Hamza Akbar, and this is the second video of our journey into understanding the scientific and humanistic study of humankind. Today, we begin by deepening our understanding of what anthropology truly is. Anthropology is often described as a holistic study of humankind, meaning that it attempts to understand human beings in the fullest sense across all times, places, and cultural contexts. As the foundational definition suggests, anthropology examines humanity using a holistic approach, which means it does not isolate biological, social, linguistic, or cultural aspects from one another. Instead, it studies them together to gain a complete picture of human life. Anthropologists ask some of the biggest questions humans have ever posed. How did we evolve? How do societies differ? Why do cultures develop unique practices? What drives human behavior? Anthropology draws on natural science through biology, on social science through sociology and psychology, and on the humanities through the study of culture, symbols, meanings, and worldviews. This breadth makes anthropology unique among the sciences. For example, anthropologists study fossils and skeletal remains to trace human evolution. They examine ancient tools and artifacts through archaeology to understand how societies lived in the past. They explore cultural rituals, kinship systems, and belief structures to decode symbolic meanings. They also analyze speech patterns and language structures to see how communication reflects and shapes collective life. In short, anthropology is the discipline that connects all of these dimensions. It brings together biology, culture, history, language, and behavior to form one unified picture of humanity. This holistic vision is what makes anthropology essential for understanding both what unites us as humans and what makes human societies so diverse. Culture is one of the most central defining concepts in anthropology, and today we explore it through the lens of classic anthropological thought. The foundational definition given by early anthropologist E.B. Tylor describes culture as that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. This influential definition captures the idea that culture is not inherited biologically, but learned through social life. Everything from language and customs to rituals, norms, and worldviews is part of this learned system. Another foundational thinker, Franz Boas, challenged earlier evolutionary ideas that saw cultures progressing linearly from Thaler's primitive to Thaler's advanced. Instead, Boas emphasized cultural relativism and historical particularism. For him, culture is an integrated system of symbols, ideas, and values, shaped by its own history and internal logic. According to Boas, each culture must be understood on its own terms, rather than judged by outside standards. Putting these insights together, culture becomes the shared way of life of a community. It includes visible elements, dress, food, architecture, but also the deeper, invisible patterns that guide behavior, values, ideologies, moral expectations, and systems of meaning. Culture is learned, transmitted across generations, accumulated over time, and constantly being reshaped. It gives individuals identity, belonging, and a framework for interpreting the world. For anthropologists, these definitions serve as the intellectual foundation for understanding human diversity. They allow us to analyze how societies create meaning, solve problems, and maintain social order. Through culture, we see how humans construct their realities and how those realities vary widely across the globe. Anthropologists identify several core characteristics of culture, and understanding these helps us grasp how deeply culture shapes human life. First, culture is learned. Humans are not born with cultural knowledge. We acquire it by growing up within a particular society. Through family, education, peers, and media, we absorb norms, values, beliefs, and symbolic meanings. Second, culture is shared. Members of a society hold similar expectations about behavior, communication, and social roles. This shared understanding allows people to interact smoothly and collectively reproduce the norms of their community. Cultural sharing does not mean perfect uniformity, but it provides a common framework for living. Third, culture is symbolic. Human societies rely heavily on symbols, language, gestures, art, rituals, where meanings go far beyond the literal form. Words, flags, religious icons, and ceremonies all carry culturally constructed meanings that guide social life. Fourth, culture is holistic. All dimensions of culture, economy, kinship, religion, politics, interconnect. A change in one part often affects others. That is why anthropologists emphasize studying culture as an integrated whole. Fifth, culture is dynamic and adaptive. It is not static. It evolves as societies encounter new technologies, challenges, or environments. Cultures adapt to climate change, migration, globalization, and social transformation. Functionally, culture meets essential human needs. It provides solutions for food production, child rearing, social organization, and conflict resolution. It establishes social order through laws and norms. It gives people identity, belonging, and meaning. For anthropologists, these characteristics explain why culture is not just a set of traditions. It is the invisible architecture of human life, shaping how societies survive, adapt, and transform. Anthropology overlaps significantly with other social sciences, but what distinguishes it is its integrative and holistic perspective. While disciplines such as sociology, psychology, political science, and economics study specific aspects of human behavior, anthropology insists that no aspect of human life can be fully understood in isolation. Like sociology, anthropology studies social institutions, group behavior, and cultural norms. However, anthropology emphasizes cross-cultural comparison and long-term immersive fieldwork. Sociologists may study modern urban communities, but anthropologists often situate these communities within broader historical and cultural contexts that span generations. Anthropology also overlaps with psychology, particularly when examining how individuals think, perceive, and behave within a cultural framework. Yet anthropologists emphasize that psychological processes are shaped through cultural learning. Anthropology intersects with economics by examining how societies organize production, exchange, and distribution. But where economists might model rational behavior, anthropologists explore how cultural meanings influence economic decisions. In political science, anthropology contributes to understanding power, authority, governance, and conflict within different cultural settings. It examines indigenous political systems, informal power networks, and the cultural dimensions of leadership. Anthropology also links with biology through the study of evolution, genetics, and human adaptation. Ultimately, anthropology serves as a bridge discipline. It draws on multiple fields while maintaining its distinct focus on holism, cultural diversity, and long-term perspective. Anthropologists do not just analyze isolated behaviors, they embed them within the full cultural and historical tapestry of human experience. This integrative approach is one of anthropology's greatest strengths, making it invaluable for understanding complex social realities. Biological or physical anthropology focuses on the biological dimensions of humanity. It explores human evolution, genetics, anatomy, primatology, and the interactions between biology and culture. According to its formal definition, biological anthropology is concerned with the biological and behavioral aspects of human beings, their extinct hominin ancestors, and related non-human primates, particularly from an evolutionary perspective. This subfield builds heavily on the work of Charles Darwin, whose theory of evolution by natural selection laid the foundation for understanding how humans and other species developed over millions of years. Later anthropologists, such as Franz Boas, demonstrated that biological traits are shaped not only by genes, but also by environment and culture. Biological anthropologists investigate fundamental questions. How did humans evolve bipedalism? Why do human populations exhibit different physical adaptations, such as high-altitude tolerance? What can primate behavior tell us about social bonding, hierarchy, and communication? Fossil discoveries, such as Australopithecus afarensis, famously represented by the skeleton Lucy, shed light on early human ancestors and the branching pathways of our evolutionary tree. Studies of DNA further reveal patterns of human migration, genetic variation, and adaptation. Modern biological anthropology also examines health, disease, nutrition, and how bodies respond to cultural and environmental pressures. For example, lifestyle changes associated with globalization have created new health patterns that anthropologists seek to understand. By connecting biological findings with cultural and behavioral insights, biological anthropology provides essential context for the entire discipline. It reminds us that human diversity is shaped by both evolutionary history and ongoing cultural processes. Archaeology focuses on the human past through the study of material remains. National Geographic defines archaeology as the study of the human past using material remains, and these remains, artifacts, structures, tools, art, and ecological traces, help reconstruct societies that existed long before written records. There are two major categories: prehistoric archaeology and historical archaeology. Prehistoric archaeology deals with societies that left no written records, such as Stone Age cultures. Sites like Stonehenge provide insights into ritual life, engineering skills, and social organization. Historical archaeology focuses on societies that used writing but still require material evidence to fill gaps, such as colonial settlements or medieval towns. Archaeology has produced some of the most iconic discoveries in human history. One example is the 1922 excavation of Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb, which yielded over 5,000 artifacts and transformed our understanding of ancient Egypt. Other findings, such as the preserved city of Pompeii or the architectural marvels of Machu Picchu, reveal vivid details about how ancient people lived, worked, and worshipped. Archaeologists use methods such as stratigraphy, carbon dating, and artifact analysis to build timelines of human development. Their work illuminates the origins of agriculture, the rise of cities, technological innovations, and long-term patterns of migration and trade. In short, archaeology fills in the vast human story where written history is silent. It uncovers forgotten worlds and brings to light the material foundations of culture. For anthropology, archaeology provides the deep time perspective necessary to understand how human societies evolved over thousands of years. Linguistic anthropology examines the deep connections between language and culture. It asks how language reflects social patterns, shapes human thought, organizes perceptions of reality, and expresses identity. One definition describes linguistic anthropology as the study of language as it is embedded in its social context. Linguistic anthropologists study language acquisition, grammar, verbal art, political speeches, digital communication, and everyday conversation. They analyze how language encodes cultural values and how societies use language to mark identity, power, and belonging. A central concept in this field is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, also called linguistic relativity. Proposed by Edward Sapir and Benjamin Whorf, this idea suggests that the structure of a language influences how its speakers perceive and categorize the world. For example, different languages may shape how people understand time, color, or spatial orientation. Some languages require speakers to indicate cardinal directions, north, south, east, west, influencing how individuals navigate and understand their environment. Linguistic anthropologists also explore language change, multilingualism, and the impact of globalization on communication. Today, they might study how emojis reshape digital expression, how political slogans mobilize communities, or how endangered languages hold irreplaceable knowledge. Language is far more than a communication system. It is a repository of cultural meanings. Each language encodes a worldview, a history, and a set of values. When linguistic anthropologists study languages, they are uncovering the cultural logic that shapes how people think and act. Ultimately, linguistic anthropology shows that understanding human language is essential to understanding human culture. Socio-cultural anthropology, often simply called cultural anthropology, focuses on living societies and contemporary ways of life. It explores how people organize families, economies, religions, political systems, and symbolic meaning. As one academic description states, Cultural anthropology is the study of all living societies, what makes them similar to and different from each other. The primary method of socio-cultural anthropology is ethnographic fieldwork, particularly participant observation. Anthropologists immerse themselves in a community for months or years, learning languages, sharing daily activities, and observing rituals, interactions, and norms. This method allows anthropologists to produce thick descriptions, rich, detailed accounts that situate behavior within its cultural context. One famous example is Bronisław Malinowski, who lived among the Trobriand Islanders and revolutionized anthropology with his detailed studies of kinship, exchange, and magic. Later thinkers like Clifford Geertz emphasized interpreting cultures as systems of symbols and meanings. Cultural anthropology studies topics such as religion, kinship, gender roles, political organization, economic systems, globalization, migration, and social change. It also has practical applications. Cultural anthropologists work in public health to design culturally appropriate interventions, in development to shape community-based programs, and in disaster response to understand local needs and practices. Today's cultural anthropologists analyze issues ranging from digital communities to climate adaptation. Their work helps explain how cultures evolve, how identities form, and how societies cope with rapid change. In essence, socio-cultural anthropology provides a deep, empathetic understanding of how people live and make meaning, essential knowledge for navigating an increasingly interconnected world. Over time, anthropology has been shaped by many influential thinkers, each contributing insights that have refined the discipline. E.B. Tylor introduced one of the earliest definitions of culture, while Franz Boas championed cultural relativism and challenged deterministic and evolutionary models. In biological anthropology, figures like Charles Darwin laid the groundwork for evolutionary thinking, while later scholars such as Sherwood Washburn integrated evolutionary theory with modern primatology. In linguistic anthropology, Edward Sapir and Benjamin Horff advanced the idea that language influences perception and cognition. In socio-cultural anthropology, influential scholars like Bronisław Malinowski emphasized fieldwork and participant observation, while Clifford Geertz encouraged anthropologists to interpret cultures as symbolic systems, essentially reading them like texts. These thinkers shaped the central theories, methods, and concepts used in anthropology today. Their contributions helped establish anthropology's holistic approach, combining biological, archaeological, linguistic, and cultural perspectives into one comprehensive discipline. For CSS aspirants, these insights are particularly valuable. Understanding cultural diversity helps in policy planning, administrative decision-making, development work, conflict resolution, and social cohesion. Anthropology teaches the importance of cultural sensitivity, the dangers of ethnocentrism, and the need to understand different communities on their own terms. Today's anthropologists continue this legacy by studying identity politics, migration, globalization, climate change, and disappearing languages. They use ethnography, comparative methods, and interdisciplinary tools to explain emerging social challenges. In short, anthropology's major contributors built a discipline that helps us understand humanity's past, interpret its present, and prepare for its future. Thank you for watching this second video of the Crash CSS Anthropology series. Your time, attention, and dedication to learning mean a lot. If you found this lecture helpful, please support the series by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on the notification bell so you never miss upcoming lessons. Your support motivates the continued production of high-quality, exam-focused content for CSS aspirants across Pakistan. Stay tuned. The next videos in this series will go even deeper into key anthropological concepts and guide you step by step through the subject. Thank you once again, and see you in the next lecture.